You guys are like those people in history class when they say some crazy shit, and I say I'll never remember that. You guys remembered all that nonsense.
And we are live on that note. That was Gaming Addict letting us. We're talking about trivia before we went live here on BRAP. Welcome everyone to another Basement Radio K podcast. It's Wednesday. It looks like there's a lot of snow here in the DMV right now. We're shoveling a lot of snow, and I'm tired, but that's okay because we got a lot of gaming related news to talk about, and we have two returning guests on BRAP tonight. We have from the Iron Lords podcast, we have Lord Attic in the house. Attic, what is going on, sir?
Doing pretty good. I've been playing a lot of Destiny, and Destiny here, Destiny there. Like I've like already I have a resurgence on my Destiny love, but I can already feel like it's like one of those old used batteries that like when you charge up it dies in like 10 minutes. Like I already feel the need to play something else. Like,
I hear you, man. I hear you. Well, Attic, welcome again back to BRAP, man. Pleasure having you on. And we also have Mooch. What is going on, Mooch? It's great.
Of course it's great. It's the first time I'm on BRAP and people can hear me. I hope they can anyways. We'll find out what the audience says in a minute. But no, great to be on the show again. Great to be with this great panel here tonight. We're approaching the end of the year, and there's a lot to talk about, believe it or not. A lot of people say not a lot of news. Maybe not like hot off the presses kind of news.
There's a lot of news.
But there's plenty to talk about, BRAP. So
there's a lot to talk about.
Let's do it.
A lot to talk about. And then we also have Mr. Eric Jackson, live from sunny Florida. Always a pleasure, man.
What is going on? Good to be here. Yep, two esteemed guests. It's been a while since Attic's been on, man.
Yeah, it's been.
I usually work Wednesdays, but I called in today because I thought we were supposed to have 5 to 8 inches of snow outside. So, and then when I woke up and there was no snow, I was like, "Well, I'm not going to work. Like I'm already called in." Like,
Attic, think of other things to do right now.
Attic, they call you. They're like, "Oh, Attic, you could come in. There's no snow."
That's when I won't just pick up my phone.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
I already took the hit. You're going to have to just have that person go take the hit. So
yeah, I don't blame you. Well, on that note, we have a great show for everyone. So let's officially get the show kicked off right now. God, I love that intro.
That's a great intro.
I really do. I love it. I love it. I almost fell out of my chair because I was dancing a little bit.
That was that's the closest I'll ever get to being an MTV VJ. I got to be honest with you. That was fantastic.
It's great.
Of course it's great.
I love saying that, by the way. I don't know why.
It doesn't get old, trust me.
Yeah,
well, I hope it doesn't.
No, it's that, and every time I see Sin Vendetta, big shout to I always say the great Sin Vendetta.
The great Sin Vendetta. Yeah. You say that in front of anybody's name, and it just sticks eventually.
It does. Like, I see him on Twitter, I'm like, oh, you mean the great Sin Vendetta? Yeah, anyhow. Yeah. Some of the, by the way, we have, in case you don't know, here on BRAP, we have Hollywood stars that join us in the live chat. We have Kevin Bacon.
That's right.
Cyberpunk Game of the Year 1977.
Wow.
Yeah, okay. All right. On that note, so I don't know about cyber junk. I wouldn't say cyberpunk is cyber junk. I don't think I would categorize that. And Usman B says Sin Vendetta, the Souls lover. Yes, he loves Dark Souls, Demon Souls. And by the way, I did beat Demon Souls for PlayStation 5. And man, what a great, that's my game of the year right now. I love it. Just something about Souls games, the sense of accomplishment you get. And Miyazaki is in my opinion, Miyazaki is a genius, an absolute genius in the gaming industry. And it was so good. Demon Souls was so good that I went back and I started playing Dark Souls 3. Because Dark Souls 3 on the PlayStation 5 gets the bump to 60 FPS.
Yeah, so, no, that's a smart move on your part, honestly, because I think that one of the things that we've gotten a little bit used to, especially if you go on, and I believe you have recently, BRAP, is playing Bloodborne. So if you go from Bloodborne and Dark Souls 3, that has that same they upgraded. I'm going to say they upgraded their engine. Whatever they did, it's definitely got better mechanics, a faster, smoother play than the original Dark Souls. So those really, really correlate together. And then you have, of course, what they did here with Demon Souls, which, you know, it's funny. I never played Demon Souls on PS3, but playing Demon Souls on PS5, you know, they say that they kept some of the quirky little things that annoyed a lot of gamers, but they thought was a good thing to keep in there. I still think it has a very fluid mechanic. So I'm enjoying Demon Souls. Now, I'm not as far as you are. As BRAP had said, I literally just got the new microphone. The new audio is up and running. I hope the audience will let me know if the voice is too low. I can adjust things on the fly. But now that I have the correct audio, because the PS5 and Xbox Series X don't have an optical audio out, that was my original setup. Now I have to go through a different means. So I have the proper equipment. I will be streaming that again. I'm looking forward to getting Demon Souls. I don't know if I can do the platinum, BRAP. You think that's something within reach, or is it just a bit much?
I mean, like for me, I might get back. I might go back and do it, but I think for me, I don't have as much time to like invest in getting platinum trophies and stuff like that as I would like to. I just don't. I have 4 kids, you know, 2 dogs, you know, a wife. I just don't have time, you know.
Stuff to do.
Yeah, I mean, like I would probably go back and do it. You know, it's doable, but you know, I just got a lot of satisfaction beating the final boss. Yeah, and you know, just seeing the credits roll. There's just still, at least for me, in my opinion, there's nothing more satisfying than beating a Souls-born game. There just isn't, because they're so challenging. They require, you know, focus, discipline. You know, it's funny. Like, I was shoveling my driveway, and I was thinking about Demon Souls because I'm shoveling it, and I'm like, I just need to chip away at my driveway as I would a boss battle in Demon Souls, right? Because you just can't go in there swinging, right? You got to go there. No. You got to chip away at the boss, get their health low.
It's step by step. You know what I mean? It takes, you got to kind of learn your opponent, right? And that's how you. That's the one thing.
My opponent today was Snow, by the way, Booch.
Well, Snow can. They usually attack your back. Here's the thing. Snow is a rough thing on your back as you get older, right? It hurts your back. No, what I'm trying to say here is I spoke a lot with Erica. Shout out to Erica and Luca, and they were saying this. We had this conversation at one point, and it really holds true. A lot of people are intimidated by Souls, not because it's necessarily hard. A lot of people just don't like to die in a video game. They don't like to die, and then have to restart progress back X amount backwards, right? So I think that's one of the things.
I think the correct statement you want is they don't like to be punished in a video game.
Yeah, okay.
It is punishing. Yeah.
But I mean, that's the thing, though. If you go back far enough, you know, everyone's like, oh my God, I love the Nintendo. I love the Sega. You know, everyone talks about Nintendo and Sega. I think a lot of people don't remember. They just don't remember. Like, those were some grueling games we played, and it was great to see that. I can't remember where I think it was the Game Awards. We saw that Ghosts and Goblins Revised or Resurrection, whatever they're calling it.
Yes,
buddy, I'll be there day one. I can't wait. That's one of my favorite games growing up. Absolutely phenomenal. But want to talk about unforgiving? That game, in my personal opinion, you guys can all that makes Demon Souls look like, you know, Smurf. I mean, come on.
Yeah. I mean, go ahead to E.
No, I'm just agreeing. I'm completely agreeing.
Yeah, I mean, before there was Demon Souls, before there was any Souls games, there was that game by Capcom, Ghosts and Goblins. And it's funny, my 6-year-old's watched me play Demon Souls. He's like, Dad, can I play that game? I said, you know what? Tell you what, we have the NES Mini. Go in the NES Mini, fire up Ghosts and Goblins. If you can beat Ghosts and Goblins, I'll let you play Demon Souls. He's like, really? I said, yeah, do it.
He should. I got to be honest with you, BRAP. That's not really fair. You should have said if you could beat that, you guys were all going to Disney World. Is what you should have finished with. Yeah.
Actually, that's probably a good point. Probably.
Yeah, have you ever beat Ghosts and Goblins?
Yes.
You have.
Yes,
I have.
Yeah, wow. when I was like 12 years old, 11 years old. No, I did it with my friends because back then, like, you didn't have like co-op the way we do today, right?
Right.
There wasn't like online co-op like you have in Souls. Co-op was you sit next to your friend on the couch and you guys hand the controller back and forth to see who could beat the level or beat a certain boss. You know, so I beat it with my friends, but that game was punishing. Like you You died, start over again. Start from the beginning. You know? And that was it. And so my 6-year-old's playing it, comes back 10 minutes later. He's like, Dad, this isn't fair. This game's super hard. I was like, well, you know what? Can't beat that game. You can't play Demon Souls. It's gonna be too hard for you. So anyhow.
I gotta be honest with you. I almost how old are we talking about? Because I gotta be honest, I almost think Ghosts and Goblins might be harder. I know that.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Right? I mean,
you think it's harder, E?
I do.
Yeah, man, dude. I've never beat Ghosts and Goblins. That's why I'm impressed with you guys for like beating it. I never had the patience as a game.
BRAP, think about it. You get 2 hits, and I think 2 hits per life and 3 lives or something like that. I don't remember the exact numbers off the top of my head. It was ages ago, but like that's it. And then it's like it's not like, hey, remember you start here. It's go back to the beginning of the very game.
Start it all over again. Yeah.
So it's harder than, I mean, Souls is frustrating. Like Addict was saying, it's punishing because you may have 100,000 souls, or you may just be getting to a boss that you had to truck through, especially in Demon Souls. You have to truck through an entire area, and then you have to do it all again. And there's way fewer shortcuts in Demon Souls that I've noticed so far than there are in Dark Souls. So that's the part that's grueling and punishing. But typically, if you get past a boss or you get past a certain area, you don't have to do that area again once you die. You know what I mean? You've completed that area, that zone. You're done, unless you want to go back and get some sort of a trophy or an accolade to something to better your score. But I mean, other than that, you don't have to go back.
Yeah, no, that's true. I mean, look, it's. I will say this about Demon Souls, and I wasn't anticipating talking about Demon Souls, but it's just one of those games, and not just the difficulty, but it's difficult, but it's also a really good game. Like the level design is done very well. The boss battles are done very well. Like, Attic, it reminds me of like a big raid in Destiny. Like to me, that's where like Destiny shines as a game with the raids, right? It's just so well designed, and it's been consistent like that for the last 11 years or so. I think the original Demon Souls was 2009, if I'm not mistaken. I don't remember, because I'm getting older now. But it just going back and playing Demon Souls was kind of cool because you see a lot of the DNA in Bloodborne, Dark Souls, and Sekiro in this game, and not just from like a design perspective or a visual perspective, but also some of the boss battles. Like there's boss battles in this game where you see, oh, wait a minute, that's where they did this boss battle in Sekiro, or they got the idea for this boss battle for Sekiro for Dark Souls. You see that. You see a lot of the DNA in those games, and they got a game coming up right now that's in development called I forget the name of the game now. Is it Elden Ring?
Elden Ring.
Yeah. I mean, Elden Ring, look, anytime I see FromSoftware.
Has that game been confirmed, or is it still a rumor?
I think it's in development,
confirmed, right?
It's in development. We don't have a confirmed release date. Did we see a trailer? Did they tease that?
Yeah, I think there's a teaser trailer out there for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's it called involved in that too? The guy behind I'm drawing a blank today.
Miyazaki?
No, not Miyazaki. The
George
guy.
Martin.
Thank you, E. I was gonna say the guy who wrote a book.
That one guy, right?
That guy who wears like my grandpa's hat and looks like Santa Claus. That guy.
Right.
Yeah. So, by the way, everyone in live chat, please retweet the link, hit that like button. So anyhow, that's my rant on Demon Souls, and I gotta say that as we get towards the end of the year, this year has been. This has been a tough year. Let's not bullshit. I mean, this year is 2020 is sucked.
Yeah.
And if I was telling my wife this, because she's not a gamer. If it wasn't for gaming, I don't know. Gaming has helped me a lot.
Yeah.
Kind of get through this year, and there's been so many great games in 2020, and not only that, just we have with the launch of new consoles, we have the PlayStation 5, and the Xbox Series X, which by the way, you can't get any of these consoles. It's like you tweeted a meme out like as soon as like Wario 64 says, "Oh, PS5, Xbox Series X going live in like an hour." It's like,
Gone
in like a minute,
Yep. Like both, like just out of there, man.
Yeah, and
someone told me though with the Walmart scenario, what's kind of happening with some of that is it's like an internal employee thing. Like the reason those are going so quickly because literally it was like a wave went up and then they were going to have another wave at 320, and in both cases it was like seconds, like not even seconds. It was like fifths of a second, if however you say that. And someone kind of told me, they said like employees are scooping them up, like they're in the system and then they're not. They're like gone.
Yeah. Wow, that's wild. That's wild. But and if you look at like the MPD numbers that Matt Piscatella just put out last Friday, the industry's doing well. And it's interesting. It's not just the console industry, but like even on the PC side, like you can't even get graphics cards at GPUs. I mean, Mooch, like when have you ever seen a time where? Well, I should say it because I think when the 20 series came out, they were kind of hard. They were hard to find at the time, but that was for other reasons.
Yeah.
But it's like, I mean, this is nuts. Anything gaming related is like just it's super high demand right now. And
yeah, I mean, I like I said it last week on Crossfire. I'll say it again. There's people that don't. A lot of people that are in the chat, in the community, people we talk to, they all are hardcore, right? And they're working their tail ends off. I think Addict's got a great story on how he got his Series X. But, I mean, before you even get into that, I got to tell you, I have friends of mine that are casual. When I mean casual, I am talking about they literally play Warzone, NBA 2K, and Madden. That's it. And I'll tell you this much: they are dying to get a PS5. Like they're doing and they're taking time off from work just to sit there and try and hit the enter button a million times and be online when things go live. They just want this. And the main reason I asked them, I said, what survey says? Like, what's the main reason that they are so interested? And they say, listen, they are like, we go to work, we have nothing to do when we come home. Like, you have your house chores, you have things to do, but like, let's just be honest. For the past 8 months, you're pretty much like the malls are gone, the movie theaters are gone, going to do anything recreational is gone. Gatherings are gone. Even going out to have Monday Night Football, some wings and a couple of pitchers of beer, gone. Anything you want, gone. Think of it, gone. So my point being,
it's not great. It's gone.
Gone. So the only thing you have is this digital media. So I'm seeing a lot of my friends that are not nearly into gaming like we are, not nearly into it. But at the same time, they are thriving to get their hands on one of these next-gen consoles because they want to do something post 8:30, 9 o'clock when their kids go to bed, when there's something to do. And, gaming has become, I said this a long time ago, this has nothing to do with the pandemic, because gaming's made a real good turn around the corner. Gaming is now socially acceptable, and it becomes a social function. Addict's got a great thing going tomorrow. So many people getting together, right? People streaming, friends getting together, playing a game, having laughs. And like, that's just something that you used to have to get in your car, go to a bar or a restaurant or your friend's house and actually have that. Don't get me wrong. I'm not talking like your physical presence should still be encouraged. I'm just saying this gives people an opportunity to be social and not and be able to practice social distancing. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
it
really becomes something where the hardcore gamer can enjoy. And now you have a situation where the casual gamer can really, really take part in this. And you know what? This is great for us. This is you might say, well, how does this benefit the hardcore? It benefits the hardcore because it thrives the business, which gets more consoles out there, gets more games, more money, more revenue, better developing capabilities. It's just better all around. There's a lot more money pouring into the system. So this is all very good.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. I actually had a conversation with someone in the industry this week at a Microsoft-owned studio, as a matter of fact. And he said, hey, business is booming. He's like, it's just one of those industries that just hasn't been impacted by the pandemic the way other industries have. And it's growing exponentially. And he's like, look, this solidifies, not that the industry wasn't solidified, but even further solidifies the fact that this is a big industry that's generating a lot of revenue right now. And like you said, Mooch, this is going to be a big boon for the industry and for gamers. We are going to reap the benefits of all this,
I think the biggest I think the biggest thing you're seeing is it's put a spotlight on it, and people see how much money can be made in this industry. And now you got people like Van Diesel investing into Wildcard for Ark. So like I think especially like the celebrity range, like, you know, the Hollywood people, like they saw how fickle their entire industry is when this happened. And now that they're trying to get ad revenue outside of what goes on in that industry.
Yeah, no, that's you know, it's look, Attic, when you bring up that point you just brought up, and like that crossover, if you will, when you start seeing that crossover now, and we've been seeing it for long, but even now, it's even, I think, more amplified. You know, to your point, like with Vin Diesel, I mean, it's just, you know, this thing has been, to me at least, a blessing in disguise with gaming. And on that, I would have give a big introduction to somebody I've known for a long time. OBM, what's up, man?
What is going on? How's it going, man?
It is going. One OBM, and thank you for, by the way, hopping on. It was kind of a last minute type thing, man. So I appreciate it.
Anytime. It's always a good time to come on here and talk gaming, and you know, meet some new friends. Not that I haven't met you guys before, but it's nice to get a chance to talk to you guys on the show. Try to deal with some of Mooch's food analogies. They're like the dark souls of food analogies.
I'm starving too, so you're in for
Which I think you talk yourself into hunger, man, when you do podcasts.
I really do. And, you know, I gotta blame a good friend of mine. He showed me. You guys see these things on YouTube? They have these. I believe one guy's name's Atlas. He does these eating competitions. Listen, when you're trying to watch yourself and get in shape, the worst thing you can do is watch these eating competitions, because it's the most delicious looking burger I've ever seen in my life. And he's eating 18 pounds of that, and then French fries and milkshakes. It's so intriguing to watch it. It's unbelievable. So
it's great.
It's delicious.
Oh my god.
We got the full form already. He's yelling and talking about food.
Exactly. Want to get these super chats real quick. Our good buddy, the senior citizen of the gaming community, Optimus Code, to find out super chat, says why Enrique so sad he run out of tacos. No, I did not run out of tacos, sir. That's okay. Code just woke up from his senior's nap, so all right. And then we have a $5 super chat from Sylvester Newton. Are Luke and others going to admit being wrong? Said last week was just PlayStation 5 fanboys mad at Cyberpunk review score. Turns out the game is really a mess. So on that note, that's actually a pretty good segue into what is known as Cyberpunk CD Projekt Red. Well, first of all, I want to give a big shout out to Eric Jackson, who basically pretty much just nailed the Metacritic score. Said on BRAP prior to the release of Cyberpunk, they would Metacritic at what, E?
I said it would. I said I was being contrary because like you guys were shooting for the moon. You were like 95, 96. Like,
yeah, they were saying that. I was like, there's no way.
I was like, nah. I said I'm just gonna say 86 because it was just looking crazy because we were getting closer, and I'm like, yo, if this game is supposed to be everything that they said it was supposed to be, why are they like not dropping codes? Because we've seen other games that were confident in what they were doing, and most people already were like getting codes and ready to start reviewing it and start talking about it, and influencers had it and streamers and everything else. And I'm like, yo, this is one of the biggest games of the generation. Like no one has it. I was like, something's up. I said 86. This game.
Yeah. You're right.
They got you, man. They got you on that FOMO.
I mean,
or whatever the young guys say now. I think I used that right. Did I use that right?
No, yeah, I think you did. There's actually a TV podcaster, or I should say YouTube channel called Stop the FOMO that reviews like TVs and stuff. But no, I mean, it's funny you say that, and a big shout out to BG, by the way, because BG was kind of critical about this game and saying, this shit kind of smells kind of fishy. And I even said, look, I don't agree with BG on this, but I had to give him, I had to take, the L, if you will, and say, you know what, BG, you were right, and then some, because this game, look, okay, so a couple things real quick. I have the game, I'm playing it. It's not a bad game, okay? It's a good game. In my opinion, from what I played so far, it's not the best game they put out. To me, it's still Witcher 3. I'm not going to get to all the reasons why I feel that way, but I just feel like from what I played so far of Cyberpunk, and I'm well over 10 hours now in this game, It's just not. Witcher 3 is still the better game in my opinion. And Mooch, you know, I've talked about this behind the scenes. I feel like Cyberpunk is like GTA in the future, which isn't a bad thing.
Yeah, I think when you say you haven't, you know, it's funny. I've watched a lot of podcasts discuss this. I think it's really important before you give your comment, and it is in this. I don't think we've ever had to do this. I've never had to do this. I think it's important to say where you're playing it, because if anybody's just tuning in, they're hearing you're saying you're enjoying it. There is a reason you're enjoying it a little bit more than others, and that's because you're playing on PC.
Well, yeah, I'm playing it on the best place to play. It was just on PC. That's just there's an argument there. PC is always gonna be the best place to play. I think Attic would agree with me, or not. But I know OBM might agree with me at least. But
no, go ahead.
No, I mean, like I'm playing.
I left the ship known as PC a couple weeks ago. I'm definitely not trying to go nowhere near that ship ever again.
Enrique, don't make me pull that curtain back and tell people how long it took to get that game running right, man.
Hey, let me tell you something. If you buy it, let me just, you know what, E, we're like, okay, you know what?
Reminded me of when you got on Red Dead. You were like, okay, what am I doing? This isn't doing this, and I need this driver, and okay, what's going on with this?
Oh yeah, right. Well, that was a issue with. Anyhow, look. The best thing in life,
like your virus protection, or something was blocking it, or something.
It actually was. It was my visor. Yeah. Look, it's a downside of PC gaming sometimes. All right.
You know, Enrique, with all the time you spend trying to get the right settings on the PC, you could actually get some platinums.
You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
Tell them
Wow. Okay. On that note,
me, I got 4 kids. I don't got time for this.
I was on PC for about a year and a half playing Destiny, and I'll tell you that whole year and a half, I didn't go to the lighthouse one time because of cheaters. So, you know, I'm okay with that, man. You know how many times I remember I almost got a crown once on Fall Guys, and some dude was literally at the top of the map gliding. He was not falling.
Yeah.
Look, I am not going to comment on cheating on PCMR right now.
I'm sure you don't comment on the PC.
It's another conversation topic. We're going to talk about. We're talking about Cyberpunk right now.
No, you was just gloating on PC, and I'm telling you, there's wrong. There's stuff wrong with PC.
Hey,
you can't sit here and gloat PC, and I'm like, nah, it's not that. We talk about Cyberpunk. Like,
Attic, we all know that in life, not all things are perfect.
I mean, if you can only play half of a game, I guess that's definitely not perfect.
Yeah, I'm actually with Attic on that, but anyway, that's a separate topic.
Oh, okay. Look, we're not gonna pile on PCMR right now. Look, here's the thing. So, like Mooch said,
up, all right. Gotcha. Let's go.
I finally got some numbers.
Look, so what? Like Mooch said, like I'm playing on PC, so my experience is going to be, and even Mooch, I don't know if you're playing this on your PC right now.
Yeah,
but our experiences are probably going to be much different than people.
So I agree with you. My critique of the game is not the bugs. I am playing on PC, and I've had very few issues. I think actually just before BRAP, I was playing for about an hour and a half, and I did just encounter a mission-breaking bug, so I'm going to have to redo the mission. But that was my first problem, so I won't really even blame that because it was my first. But I'll be honest with you. My problem is just I'm not necessarily a huge fan of the game itself. I think it's basically nothing new brought to the table. And by the way, if anyone likes the game, I hope they're enjoying it. That's great. I'm just saying, myself personally, when you get done with a mission, I don't know if you guys feel this way. The minute you get done with a mission, you go through your mission. You know what the topic is at hand. The second you get done with it, you're like, okay, where am I? What am I doing? Like, what's going on? Like, there's no recollection. You look at the map. There's 75,000 icons. Like, I'm not. 75,000
that's like every RPG known to man.
No. There's only 2 like that: The Witcher 3 and Cyberpunk 2077. And oh wow, same developer. So what I'm saying, like, it's just the thing about it is that I think, believe it or not, I don't know how they did it, but somehow The Witcher 3 was a little bit less. Like, it's just there's no rhyme or reason to it. The side missions are completely off track. I don't find that they tie in very well. And you know, honestly, instead of Cyberpunk 2077, they could have just called it Total Recall 2077. Because the minute you get done with a mission, you're like, what am I doing? What's going on? You know, I mean, I don't know. And if I understand that some people don't agree with that. If you're enjoying it, it's just to me.
Mooch, do me a favor, Mooch. Do me a favor. Do me a favor, Mitch. Name me your top 3 favorite RPGs. Go.
Right, you can't. I can't do that. It's like asking me my favorite 3 ice cream
Go.
flavors. I can't do it. I love them all. Listen, I can't do it.
What's your favorite?
My
favorite pizza places, Mooch.
Right? I can't. Well, like there certainly won't be anybody that has a national commercial.
Shots fired at Pizza Hut.
I don't know. I mean, if you guys like it, I wouldn't say that you're wrong for liking it. It doesn't bring anything new to the table. The driving in it is atrocious.
Yeah, the driving is pretty bad.
Right, the inventory on it is just
inventory management.
I don't like how the character screen looks. Like when you equip stuff, like I felt like it looks really ganky. Like I feel like it needs to be like the character needs to be up more. Like
is this like a CD Projekt thing? Because remember, like when Witcher dropped, like how much they changed.
See, that made a lot more sense with all that stuff because it was third person. There was a lot of screens, but it's just like this. Like you have, I don't know. Like I felt like they could have made that screen look a little bit better.
How about this? Do you guys feel like what are those things we all pick up a million times? They're everywhere. They look like a T basically, and you have the option to take them or just read them. They're basically audio. They're logs. They're not audio.
Yeah, little audio blog.
They're everywhere. I think in the first hour I picked up like 50 of them. And it would be one thing if it said read and then it had like maybe 3 or 4 sentences. I mean, some of these things are like a doctrine. I mean, it's a massive. Who the hell's reading all of these? Nobody.
Well, some people are. Some people probably are. Mooch.
Let me ask you guys.
1% are reading all of those things. It's just, and guess what? If those are story tied or things that really are going to make me more immersed into the world, well, I'm going to say this. First of all, shame on you in twofold.
Didn't you just come off Demon Souls?
No, that was me.
No, I barely started Demon Souls. But my thing is, what I'm saying to you is this, though, Addict. Like, there's literally too much there. Like, there's too much writing there that is literally going to get passed by.
I mean, but like, I get what you're saying, but there's like, this isn't something new. Like, Dead Space did it. Like, it's okay. Like the only time I'm against it is when they take it out of the game and they expect you to go to another website like Destiny did.
Well, that's another level. But wait, I will say this much: Dead Space didn't do it to this level. Nobody. I don't.
Oh no, there was a lot. There was a lot outside the main story. You had to go and look.
Yeah, but we're comparing a game right now that can't even play on last generation consoles compared to Dead Space that was on a 360.
So why are we going performance though? Like we talking story, you trying to divert to performance? Like
no, I'm going to story. I'm going to story. I'm telling you that they did not put that much data into Dead Space as they did into I'm literally maybe 7 hours, 8 hours into this game, and I'm not kidding you, Addict. I'm legitimately there's more reading there than the New York Library. I mean, it's insane. It's a bit, but let me clarify the complaint. It's not the complaint that it's there. Okay, fine. If it's there, it's there. What I'm trying to say is, if those stories are important for gamers to read in order to get immersed, I'm just telling you that I feel, and I guess I could say I'm speaking for a decent portion of gamers, nobody wants to read all of that. Like, nobody. So either it's not important, and why am I picking this damn thing up? Or it is important, and why are you making me read a 4-page term paper every 15 feet? Like, it's either one, it doesn't hold water. So when you want to put something important in a game that I need to know as the player, make it an audio log, so at least it'll start to read off. Make it shorter, it'll read off, and I can continue playing my game while I'm getting backstory. Believe me, there's a lot of dead time in Cyberpunk when you're driving around or just walking around. You can have the audio log playing. To put it there in a term paper with references, I'm not doing that while I'm trying to enjoy a video game. And if that's something you like, again, I'm not taking that away from anybody, but it's just, it's another layer of the, let's put it in the unfun category. You know what I mean? It's just not a lot of fun.
The unfun category.
Right? It's just not a lot of fun. Hey, what'd you do last night? I read 17 term papers in Cyberpunk. What'd you do, E? It's like, I don't know.
God.
I went back and reorganized all the logs in Control.
I thought he was going to say, I got my refund on Cyberpunk, Mooch.
Well, that's not happening, but we'll get to that.
It's not.
I was going to say, Mooch. Hey, Mooch. Two things hard to come by. Well, a few things hard to come by in 2020. 2020 is next gen consoles, and refunds on Cyberpunk.
Wow.
This is true.
Wow, that's just true. That's a great point. I'm going to get the super chat real quick and then go to OBM. Replicate the $5 super chat. It says CD Projekt Red 16 minutes ago should have canned. I hope I'm should have canned the PlayStation 4, Xbox One versions and move to PC, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X only. Thank you for that super chat. Go ahead, OBM. You're going to chime in, man.
Yeah, well, I guess I was going to ask a question because just to be transparent, I haven't picked it up yet. I made that decision probably, a few weeks ago when it sounded like consoles weren't going to be getting, the best version of this thing or a good version of it. I figure I let somebody else do the beta testing for me.
Wow. You saw the writing on the wall, OBM.
Yeah. Saw the. Well, I told you that, right? It's like I got some.
You did say that, yes.
We have backlogs for days, so there's no point in like rushing and being the beta tester. It's like if I'm going to play this game up, I'm going to pay top dollar, then I expect to get the finished version. But then I'm listening to Mooch talk about it, and I guess I'm going to want to hear it if everybody agrees on this because it's sounding more and more like a game that maybe I just don't, at least I don't pick it up on full price because it doesn't sound like it's doing anything innovative, and I really thought that was the purpose of this game.
That's well said.
Yeah, I mean, we've already had we've gotten past that point now where just having something bigger or more more landmass or more things to read, more people to meet, like that's just not. I think we're past that point. I think now we're to the point where people, especially the gamers, those of us that are getting older, or that are like BRAP who have 4 kids and have to spend half his time fixing his PC. We want to get to the point.
Wow.
and we want to get into the fun game loops quicker, right? Like if you're going to be spending so much time driving around, then you want the driving to be good. If you're going to be spending a lot of time fighting people, you want the fighting to be good. And that's the thing I struggle to understand, even with, I'll be honest with you, even with like Grand Theft Auto and stuff, and even Assassin's Creed, it's like, no, it's not a bad game. But if I really want to just keep grinding and fighting people, at least I have a lot of fun doing that in like Miyazaki games, right? Like he gets that. So I can grind, I can play those games for 80 hours. But
Great point. Point.
Yeah. You can get on there for a half hour, then you, like you were saying, Enrique, like you'll be thinking about it in your garage, man, like how am I going to attack that or while you're shoveling the snow and how am I going to attack that boss the next time? I just don't ever feel like I'm getting that in a lot of today's open world games. They just forgot to be fun games. Instead, they want to be games that just, I guess they're for the completionists and they're just going to suck you in for hundreds of hours. And I guess I think we're beyond the novelty of that, and if that's all this is, maybe it's really just a game, I pass up on or give it a shot down the road just to say, I've given it a chance, don't knock it until you try it, I guess. But, somewhere down the road when that thing's not $60.
Yeah. Well, and again, I do want to make something clear. Like, it's not a bad game. It's a good game. I mean,
right.
Some of these things that like Mooch is talking about that I've talked about, look, I mean, they're not like game breaking things, but it's like you said, OBM, they aren't things that are like genre defining, and maybe they don't have to be, I guess, but I think, look, I think part of it's because they make these kinds of games because people buy them. People buy these open world sandbox games. They know they spend hours into these games.
Yeah, but isn't this what this game was billed as? Like it was supposed to be like this super immersive thing, and the thing is, I mean, like I haven't played it yet. I said the same thing. You guys. I mean, I'm on record saying I was gonna wait until the next gen console updates because I'm not playing on a PC, and I wanted to play it at the the best version, right? Especially as time was going on, we were hearing more and more, or kind of seeing more and more like maybe there was something going on with the current gen or the last gen consoles at this point.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even want to attempt it on a 1X. I was kind of like, I'll just wait. But the fact is, I'm kind of like, I'm looking at people talk about it. And again, it's like you said, I'm seeing people having fun with it, and I'm seeing people who are having those issues with it. Mm-hmm. It's very much, while your miles may vary, the game.
Absolutely.
That's kind of how it is. And that's not what we expected from what this was supposed to be, because, whoever you talk to, some people had expectations that were in the right range. some people put CD Projekt Red on this pedestal that was just unattainable. And I was like, as somebody who has over 250 plus hours in The Witcher 3, I was very much looking forward to this game. Still am. I still look forward to playing it when it's fixed and the version that they really wanted, and they have an opportunity to No Man's Sky this thing like they kind of did with The Witcher. They made it better and better and better, right?
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, it's just like, wow, how did you end up here? And seeing people like all in on, what size dick are you giving this person, and what size tits are you giving this person? And so I'm kind of like, what is the purpose of that? And I asked the guys on Gaming Perspective, like Nick and Sam, these guys who have played it. I'm kind of like, I'm all for deep customizations and
that's really deep customization.
Well, I'm all for like a deep character creator, and from my understanding is some of the character creation isn't even that deep. But from what I'm hearing, some of the character creation parts of it aren't really even that deep, depending on what you're trying to create. Like if you're trying to create like a certain look for a black person, like it's not that deep, and that's something that some of these games get really wrong. Like when it comes to like black hair and things like that, it's like they have all these designs for like, white hair and everything, but then the black hair is like afro, buzz cut, and cornrows. And I'm like,
that's so true. And fade.
Right.
I thought fade.
And then I'm watching it and I'm kind of like, okay, all this emphasis on, dick size and tit size and stuff. I'm like, what does that add to the game? Besides you just saying like, I was able to do it and have a couple of laughs online. I'm like, somebody sat and put time into doing that. And I'm like,
you make a great point. I just want to add one other thing because you're saying character creation. The other thing is the world, and a lot of people can get, we all get wowed by neon bright lights,
right?
And the game is very sharp, and it looks really, really, really good as far as that sharp, polished look on PC.
On PC, yeah.
But I will say this much: the streets are narrow. The thing, and it's funny because you have to reiterate that it's on PC because if you look at the console version, people are complaining on console that the streets are barren. There's not a lot of people. There's not a lot of like life. But on the PC, there really is. There's some avenues and blocks, and this is my biggest complaint with the game is everything is smushed. Like the lanes for driving are like just small, and the car is just it's awful to drive. We said that already. But then like there's a bunch of people on the sidewalk and like your inventory's all over the place, and the map is just crunched in a zillion icons in one small little radius. It's like everything is just compact, thrown together. And I've heard a lot of people that were really pro this game say this over the past few days on various podcasts, and I tip my cap to them. They're like, this game needed another year. It needed another year in development to really just sort everything out and clean it up. Now, you said something that made a lot of sense, E. There's no doubt 6 months, 8 months, 12 months, 16 months from now, somebody will go, boy, that Cyberpunk really is great now. And I'm sure it will be. But as it is in its current state, unless that's just something you, like Attic said, RPG, and it's something that you love and you look forward to it. You know what I'd say? If there was somebody on the podcast right now that said, Mooch, I love this game. I've been waiting for it since it was first announced, and I couldn't wait. I got it the night it came out, and I'm loving it. I'd say I can understand why, because you enjoy that type of game. But if you're just somebody who just kind of flirts with RPGs or enjoys an occasional really good one, like when people said, I don't know, people kind of argue back and forth, but like Ghost of Tsushima, right? Or any of those other types of games that you say are borderline on that. Like, they're not an in-depth RPG, but I'm saying, like, that's something that kind of came up, creeped up. Some people thought they would like it. Some people didn't know if they'd like it. There was no lock-on. You remember Ghost of Tsushima? They're like, I can't lock on to anybody. Well, they did that deliberately, and some people ended up finding out that even though they thought they were going to hate it, they loved it. I think this is one of those games where I thought I was going to love it, and I don't. And but I will not talk anybody out of it. Right. It's just I certainly would not like one bad mother who's there. And you guys are saying you're both going to wait. You know what I would say? Please wait. I won't talk you out of it if you want to buy it or you love it, but I certainly wouldn't talk you into it.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that this game had wrong expectations of people going into it. I feel like people played The Witcher that's built on completely different RPG mechanics than Cyberpunk is.
True, yeah.
I think the people that don't like this game are the people that like Fallout 4, and the people that do like this game are the people that like New Vegas and Fallout 3. So
that's a really good point, Adam.
That's actually really interesting. So,
because I do like I would prefer to play Fallout 4 myself. Yes.
Well, and I probably would be more of the Vegas, something with some options and that's dynamic. So I guess that's one thing we haven't really got too far into, because I thought that was going to be. I remember with them showing this game off initially the first time, and the first time they demoed it behind the scenes, and people were raving about it, and they were talking about like this one scene where you made these choices, and they would have this drastic effect on the game world. And and how this thing played out over hours, and that was just one side story. So are you finding that aspect of the game was maybe overhyped or oversold, or do you still think that underneath the the warts that it has, or some of the issues that it does have, that part of the game still exists? Like, does it still feel dynamic to you, at least enough where that matters to you, like where you're really kind of thinking through these situations? Or is it kind of, I don't know, is it just like that stuff exists but it doesn't really impact your experience that much?
I think they built this game. They didn't build this game with like an open gate. They built it with like a door. It's like, look, we're not trying to get everyone into this game. We're trying to make a game for the fans that like this type of game. Because clearly they took criticism and they said, I don't care what you had to say. People said, well, I want third person, and they said, fuck your third person. We doing what we want to do. So I just think if you don't like this game now, no patch is gonna fix it. What you don't like is the foundations of the game. It's not the game itself.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true.
Literally, they could fix every bug in the game, and I would still probably give it the same score I will when I'm done with it. He's right.
Because every person I figured would like this game, they all love this game. Every person I figured would not like this game, they don't like this game. A lot of people went into this expecting some form of Witcher to be in this game, and it's not built on the same foundation they built The Witcher on.
No, it's not.
Yeah, and here's the thing too, like No Russian said, they sold the game as something that was entirely, that was something else entirely, right? So I know we'll get further into the pitfalls, but again, it kind of is one of those things. Like, if you were really paying attention and not putting on your CD Projekt Red blinders and thinking that they were about to, hit you with the feels again like they did with Witcher 3, they kept delaying, right? But even in the delays, they kept stripping things away that had people excited.
Mm-hmm.
And again, back to the focus on the odd things. I'm like, you put so much focus on this thing that doesn't matter versus some things in there that will matter, and that's not even getting into.
I think it was mainly time restraint,
Yeah.
So Attic, my question was going to be, I'll let you continue. I just want to ask you this question. My question is, did they bite off more than they can chew?
Yeah. Oh, they definitely bit off more than they can chew. Yep. Like, when it comes to these bugs and stuff, I generally believe that CD Projekt Red was put in political red tape. And, regardless what happens behind closed doors, I don't know their finances. I act like I know their finances. But from the energy that they put in the past, I don't think they wanted to release game in the state they are. When they come out and they say, we apologize to our fans, I generally think they actually believe that. And they actually mean that. But when a studio like EA comes out, or Activision is like, yeah, we fucked up, I don't believe them. They don't care. They know they got you, and you're gonna do whatever you want. Cyberpunk's okay. It's it's a strong 8, but it's just like, it's nothing special. I feel like everything Bethesda's ever done's been better than this game.
Ooh, okay.
So it's a cool game. I like the immersion. It's like, I know a lot of you don't think the game was immersion. Like, I think it's very immersion. So, but at the end of the day, I don't like the fight. I don't like the gunplay mechanics at all. I feel like
mechanics are terrible.
Attic, how about the staging though? Like, that's my other issue. Any kind of fights that are going on indoors, like, it feels like everything's cramped. Everything is just very, like, you know what I mean? Like, there's just, even early on boss battles, like you're very cramped. The layout for, maybe it's because I have also been trying to catch up the way I'll catch up to Attic, but trying to play some more Destiny. Destiny has these big, wide, like, open areas to fight. And this seems just very, very, like, the ones I've played majority thus far, and I'm early on, but they seem like they're very tight, cramped areas to fight in. And again, the gunplay is very weak. I think all of that just kind of plays a role. Do you have that issue too, or not really?
I mean, when you fight in a building, there's only so much you can do in a building. But like, when it comes to Fallout, when it comes to a lot of these other RPGs, they've always had some kind of gameplay mechanic to make the gun gameplay better than it really is. And you got VATS and Fallout, you got the cryo thing in the Outer Worlds.
Yes.
So they they going into this going like, yeah, our combat's not the greatest. It's like average. We're gonna put this in here to make it look better than it really is.
Hey, Addict. So like you bring like the VAT thing up, and you know the one thing that kind of saves the gameplay for me for Fallout are the VATs, right? That slow motion or picking out a certain weak point in an enemy. That's like a different. That makes that I don't want to say generic, but like almost that generic kind of feeling, I guess, gameplay, if you will.
Well, it adds depth to the moment.
Depth, exactly.
Well, I mean, let's just call it real here. The combat in Cyberpunk feels outdated. It doesn't feel quality at all. It feels like something that they didn't spend a whole lot of time on. They're like, oh, you could shoot good. Let's ship it. Like it doesn't.
Good. We got the shooting right, boys. Let's ship it.
You know,
well, hell, a tremendous complaint over The Witcher 3 was the combat. Like, I didn't have a problem.
I would rather play, and I didn't even beat The Witcher. I'd rather beat The Witcher 3 times before I use this combat. Because I just like, at least with The Witcher, like it's got that sword combat, which is always better than gun combat if you do it right.
The Witcher 3 combat's also based on Geralt's fighting style, which is like a fencing fighting style, which a lot of people don't realize. But go ahead, Addict. Finish your point, man. You're talking about the comment.
It's like the combat's bad. I can't. I'm not even gonna say bad. It's average. It's nothing special. I personally feel like if you have a first person shooting and your combat's not good, then you really drop the ball.
Yeah.
Because I do personally feel like shooting mechanics have to be the best it can on first persons.
Yeah.
And it definitely flopped. I didn't feel at any time. No. Sometimes I felt like when I was shooting it was clunky.
Yeah. I think
and there's no weight behind the weapons. Like the weapons, to me at least, and I heard this changes later on as you progress, but I haven't felt this shit. The weapons don't feel, and I don't want to compare it to Destiny because I think
did they get another manufacturer of guns that actually knows how to do stuff? How did that change in the future? Like,
but I think like what Bungie's done with Destiny, I don't want to compare it to Destiny, but Bungie has made gunplay. That's the benchmark, right?
Yeah,
is the gunplay.
And the question is why? Like Bungie's gunplay is now 20 years old. You know, like basically, I mean, you go back to Halo CE, which I replayed not too long ago. And that gunplay holds up today. So like, why the hell these developers with these like $1 jillion projects, you know, that take years and years, they can't find somebody out there that you know that knows how to make gunplay.
I mean, it's the same question I've always had with driving mechanics. Like, it's like if you can't do it, just hire someone else to do it. Like, especially people with these kind of budgets, like hire ex GTA devs to do your damn driving. Like, like do something. Like, just don't sit there and have like where I feel like I'm having to do a 360 and a 180 at the same time to make a climb. Like,
and maybe that is just a CPU thing.
And not to mention, you can't look behind you unless you're in third person. I don't get that. Like, you look at the side mirror, it's not there. So I'm just like, why would you even put a mechanic that looks like it's a side mirror, but when I look at it, it's plastic, it's not glass. Like,
oh my god.
What it sounds like, and again, I'm not the expert because I haven't played it, but just kind of listening to everybody who has played it, where it seems like they have depth in just kind of weird spots. To me, it always felt like this was a developer that was shooting for the moon. Like, I remember they were talking about wanting to go up against Rockstar as like the greatest dev out there, and I do think they shot for the moon. And then what happened is along the way they realized that, you know, something that's got a scale on Jaguar cores is not going to hit the moon, and then they had to cut back, you know, in wherever they could.
I can almost guarantee you what happened with this is they spent too long in the drawing board of what they did, what they wanted to, and what they didn't want to do. And then by the time they got to the actual developing of the game, it was not enough time to do what they wanted on paper on the game. And then they tried to spend more time cramming what they wanted on the paper in the game. So then when they found out they couldn't do everything on paper, they started cutting things. But since they were cutting things, the whole process wasn't done correctly. So now you have bugs the way you have now.
Yeah, I want to kind of segue into something like what you're saying, Attic, about them cutting things from the game. Oh, by the way, some of the live chat says you can actually press down the right stick to look behind you. But you know,
no, the moment someone told me, "Hey, get in the third person," I never left that mode on the cars. So
yeah. Yeah, me too. But here's the thing with this game. For such a long time, CD Projekt Red has been hailed as like the pro-consumer, pro-good guy developer of the industry. And they did something, in my opinion, that was pretty shitty. In the sense that they knew this game wasn't, and it's not the developers or people that made this game, but I want to make that clear. These are the stakeholders that are making this decision to push this game out, to get it out on street date, so they can make money. They're a publicly traded company. They have to answer to shareholders. This is capitalism, baby, at its finest.
Yeah, but at the same time, like, aren't they their own publisher too?
No, they are, but they're a publicly traded company. They got.
I get that, but when you're the publisher and you're the developer, you have a lot more say. I don't get. I'm not giving them that. Like,
I don't think they published the game here in the States. I think that was maybe they did. I don't remember. I felt like in the US it wasn't published. I could be wrong. I don't know. I'm not going to speculate there. But go ahead, Attic. Finish your point, man.
I feel like it's like you said. I feel like the money on the back end was starting to come out, and these people want their money back. And I get it, but it's like to a point. I think you did more damage to your brand than you helped it. Like, sure, you got that money.
Warner Brothers published it in the U.S., by the way, WB. So go ahead, Attic.
Sure, you got that money back on the back end, but it's just like, for what? Like now, when you make your next game, people aren't going to just go out and pre-order because it's got CD Projekt Red on the side.
Oh, absolutely.
So now your next game could potentially be half its sales because you didn't want to give a 6 months to a year longer in development cycle to get it to the quality it should have been. Well, now they're looked at.
Go ahead, Attic.
Now they're looked at as a developer that's up there with Bethesda when it comes to bugs. Because this isn't the first game that they came out buggy. Witcher came out just as buggy.
But it's not just bugs, Attic. Go ahead, Attic.
But I think the important thing here too is that we're sitting here and we're saying, and I agree with you guys saying, give it another year, delay it again. It's not about the delays. This game started, right? Hypothetically, if we go by the first time it was mentioned was 2012. Okay, this game has had plenty of time. I think what BRAP said a little bit ago is what we have to kind of, if you want to peel the onion back, is they overshot for this game. Okay. Yeah. They overdid it. They kept adding things and adding things and adding things, and you can see it's like a diner. A lot on the menu, and nothing is really great.
Yeah.
Right. So the other thing is like and I know I'm harping on this, and I won't. But I'm just using it as an example. Take out the 75 Encyclopedia Britannicas they wanted us to read, right? And put it into like
you really don't like that.
That's literally that's in every Elder Scrolls game. That's in every Fallout game. Like,
I don't think Fallout's that bad. And if
Fallout isn't as bad as Elder Scrolls, but there's literally like if you want to know exactly what's going on in the Elder Scrolls world, you have to read the books, and they're lengthy.
Oh, Attic, remember those books?
True, but when you play Fallout 4, like you don't need to read all of that. I mean, if you want to get 100%,
Fallout 4 is dog.
Hey, easy there, Attic, easy there.
I'm picking on that one thing.
He's not lying, man.
I'm not trying.
Hey.
I'm not trying to harp on the reading part again. I'm just saying, like, they wasted so much time on that. Where
I'd rather ice pick my eyes than play Fallout 4.
Take that time they put into that writing and utilize it in a better area to better the game.
And I agree with you when it comes to like, the Word documents. I don't understand when we have games like Persona that a lot of that is voiced. And it's just like, why can't you have the majority of that voice? But I'm not in the studio. I don't know how much that would cost. It probably costs a lot of money. So it's just like, I guess they're in a predicament. Do we spend however much it would cost, and I'm assuming to voice all of that dialogue would cost a lot of money, or do we just cut it out of the game entirely and not have that lore in the game? Because that's literally what that was the options. And to me, like, I feel like I'd rather be there where I can read it than just not be there.
Because Mooch, should I invoke BioShock? Audio logs.
But I'm okay with the audio logs. First of all, they're quite short.
No, but that's my point. It's like they keep you moving because you pick one up, you're listening, and you're off, and you're shooting people, and it's explaining the story to you. And
Thank you so much for bringing up Bioshock, because this not only does that add to my point, but actually Bioshock helps what Addict said a few segments ago. Where Bioshock's, let's be honest, their shooting mechanic, I'm actually playing through the Bioshock collection again on PS5, just in between the newer games. I'm like, you know what? I haven't beaten it on PS5. Let me try. And the shooting mechanic on the PS5, in Bioshock is not great. But what do? They add plasmids, right?
Yeah.
They add things around the environment that if you zap or if you fire or you launch your plasmid a certain way, it attacks the enemy. Then you pull out the electronic shot bolt and boom, boom, boom. But my point is they added something to the shooting mechanic to say, okay, we don't have the best shooting mechanic, but look at what we did to better ourselves, to separate ourselves from the pack. And that's the thing with this game. It doesn't have the audio logs. It has too much. I'm going to say too much reading, unnecessary reading. It has too many crammed areas. The driving's not good. The story's okay. And then the inventory and the map are just atrocious. I got to be honest with you. Like, Alex said, it's a strong 8. I think it's a mellow 7.5. I mean, like, this game's got a lot. It's a lot, like, just not to like. And I don't even know if a year. I think Alex said it best. I think a year gets rid of the bugs. I think a year maybe makes things a little bit maybe cleaner, but you either like this game or you don't. On PC, again, it's not fair for people playing on console, because console gamers right now are getting the most buggiest mess. It crashes. You can't even finish a mission, or a mission's bugged. So that's not fair for them at all. But if you're playing it on PC, you're not going to come back to this game in 12 months and have a completely different opinion on this piece. You know what I mean? It is what it is. You either love it or you don't. But great point on the audio logs. You could put that in there, take a lot of these long written essays, and just shorten it down and make it so that we can continue playing the game instead of walking around following Jackie for, however, right? And his point was, like, I can't wait till this mission's over. I'm going to get myself another to-go container of food. Like, okay, I don't need to hear him saying that while I'm walking through the mission. How about I hear the actual audio log of something important or something that gets me immersed into the story? And why are we thinking of this? This is supposed to be a critically acclaimed dev team, right?
That's the thing. Like, for a Cyberpunk 2077, a futuristic game, there should be some kind of cool, innovative way that you're receiving this information, not walking around reading it. Like there should be, you would think, some kind of. And like I said, I haven't had hands on, so there's only so much I can say about it. I'm kind of feeding off of what you guys are, are saying here. But I'm kind of like, if you're not doing better, what, let's say, like a Bioshock or a Dishonored was doing, then that's kind of wild. Because you have the things to go to say that, hey, this worked well. Let's do this, and this. So who's dropping the ball on it? It's sort of like
you're kind of comparing it to like non-RPG games, like the demographic. I'm not even talking
about the RPG element, because
I know, but because
those are not, they're not deep RPG, but they have element of what those games have, and even they take the Outer Worlds. Outer Worlds didn't have great shooting mechanics, but it had great characters. It had great, for what it was trying to do. So you have games that were in smaller development cycles and everything else that are still outdoing you when you're coming in later.
So what it sounds to me,
that's what it sounds like to me. Like I said, I can't. I'm letting you guys. I'm throwing it back at you guys.
I think the most impressive thing is Night City in the game, and
I agree with that. Yeah,
I really enjoy what they did with Night City. I was a little disappointed with how well the desert looked at the beginning of the game, and then I go to Night City and it's all dark and like neon colors, and it didn't kind of give me the same vibe. But I'm not gonna really speak too much more on Cyberpunk. It's a solid game. If you enjoy RPGs, like the hardcore RPGs where you gotta read mooch, then definitely go into that. Well, if not, just definitely don't buy this.
I have 2 college degrees. It's not like I mind reading. I come home from doing work not to do a book report.
Well, maybe that's why you don't want to, because you read all day at work.
Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to downplay the reading. I don't mind if it's something that's short and to the point.
You best not let me go on Twitter and see you say one thing about Yakuza in a positive light.
I have never played Yakuza.
Okay, I was about to say, man.
I've never played it, so I know. Why is that a lot as well?
Yes, a lot of reading.
Probably triple what's on this game.
Oh my god!
But it's reading in the sense of it's part of the game, like story. It's like it's not.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So what I'm hearing from everybody, I think if you were to try to nutshell this, and again from listening to you guys, I think the way I would nutshell it is it sounds like a game that's like a jack of every trade, but like it doesn't really master any one thing that keeps you loving it moment to moment. Because like I'm thinking about all these flaws you're talking about, like, and then I'm going back and I'm like, well, no, actually, I do like Western RPGs, and and I played Prey, and that game didn't have great gunplay, but I still enjoyed like, that environment and just the atmosphere and maybe some of the dynamic things I did in that game. And so there's a lot of games that have flaws, a lot of the same flaws you're talking about. But what it sounds like it's missing is that for all the time you're putting into it, it's just not. It doesn't sound like that. There's that moment to moment thing driving you or keeping it interesting. And I think at the end of the day, it might be the situation where. Again, I think they shot for the stars and they ended up coming crashing down back.
I will say one thing. I'll say one thing that caught me by surprise, and a lot of this stuff I've been saying for months on Crossfire. So nothing except of course I didn't give my game review months ago, but I'm saying I've had these sentiments about the game early on that things just didn't feel right. But I will say one thing where I'll say I was wrong. I thought the brain. What is it there? The brain dance there, or am I saying it right there, Addict? The BD.
Yeah.
Right? That was part of the game that I thought I would have hated, and I actually oddly like it. I think it's I like how there's more to it than just rewind the tape, fast forward and look for clues. There's 3 different layers. There's the 3 different levels of investigating you can do. One is like ultrasound. I'm gonna get these wrong, but one is definitely something where you can hear, and then there's one that's visual. So the thing about it is that it's interesting that they give you the time lapse and the time frame, and you want to get all of those because it does get you more clues, which gets you more perks in the game, of course. But I'm just saying, like, I thought that would be something that I didn't like, and I really like the BD in it. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's pretty
to
cool.
be honest with you, like I don't even have a whole lot of time in the game. I got like 9 to 10 hours or some shit like that. Like it's just like I like it, but I've been working 2 jobs here lately. So like when I get off, like my time got to go to Destiny. Destiny's a selfish bitch, so I got to put it into that.
You want all your time.
I do want to get back to the game and really, get into the game, but it's just like I'll be real with you. Like I think there's certain aspects that are better than the Outer Worlds, but I think as an all, Outer Worlds is a better game.
Yeah. Real quick, guys, I want to get the super chat. The Ashley Luke with the $5 super chat says, please hit the like button, folks. Thank you, Luke. I appreciate that. Here's my thing. Like we've talked a lot about some of the issues with this game, or maybe not some of the bugs and stuff and things we dislike about the game. But here's the biggest issue I have with this game right now isn't necessarily the game per se, but the way CD Projekt Red has
they taken an
handled this game. Like, yeah, you're right. They're taking an L big time. Like the fact of the matter, and Jeff Grubb,
I feel like every day it gets worse.
Oh, it does, right?
It does get worse.
You see the stock price?
Yeah, like their stock price is tanked. Not tanked, but it's gone down. Like
it's gotten so bad. I'm surprised Fox ain't covering it. Like,
so, but like Jeff Grubb had a great article today, by the way, on this game where he feels like he was deceived. He feels like they used the media. They used the media to.
They use certain parts of the media.
Yeah, but he also feels like maybe the media should have been a little more asking those critical questions about. Wait a minute, why are you guys doing things like this? Like, here's the issue I have, and I started seeing red flags. When I forgot the guy, there's a YouTuber, I forget his name now. Is it ACG? Who was like, you know what? I am not going to review this game because they are not letting me use my in-game play footage. And I'm wait.
Well, I'm not sure. Skill Up said something similar.
Yeah, it's well.
He did a review. He wouldn't post it before the embargo as a reviewer because they wouldn't let him use his role. He had to use their B-roll footage.
He had to use the B-rolls, right? And like that's not like really totally uncommon per se.
No, that's some uncommon shit right there.
But,
I don't name another one. Name another scenario where that happened.
Well,
never.
Well, I mean, let me clarify. You're right, Addict. Like to the point, like where you have to only use their B-roll. Like like Sony will say to reviewers, you can't use, certain gameplay footage.
Talking about Last of Us 2.
Yeah, like you can't use. Yeah, exactly.
See,
right.
That's
you can use your gameplay footage, right?
That's one of the only scenarios they've done that too. Like,
I thought
there's a reason that they hide certain of these aspects in reviews because they know it's going to be frowned upon.
But the thing,
I didn't think it was that you couldn't use their footage. You could only use up to like whatever it was, chapter 2 or chapter
you couldn't only because they didn't want,
because literally earlier in the game, spoilers or earmuffs for people in the audience, like something detrimental happens to a main character very, very early on.
Exactly.
They didn't want you using footage that goes beyond that chapter because everybody would be like, "Hey, where's so and so?" You know what I mean?
But this is different though. Like this is different. Like this is different. The sense that CD Projekt Red blatantly knew that this game has issues. They let they let the media put in for review codes. They're like, you know what, guys, we're going to let you. Jeff Grubb wrote a whole piece about this, really enlightening, insightful about kind of behind the scenes. But Jeff was like, look, it was like normal. Like they let us people put in their review codes for requests for the Xbox, for the PlayStation, for PC, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh well, we're only doing PC. And then it was like, well, you can only use our B reels about on Cyberpunk. You can't use your in-game footage. And we saw some YouTubers, and the thing is like for like sites like Jeff Grubb's site, like they're not doing video reviews per se. Like a lot of the YouTube influencers will do that. Jeff's doing kind of a handwritten review. It's all word. There's not a lot of gameplay footage per se, as opposed to like someone like ACG or the other guy you mentioned.
That's the people they were scared of.
Yeah, but here's the thing. They knew like, you know what? Play the PC version because they knew the PC version was the best. But the PC version still has bugs. I have come across a couple bugs. Nothing game breaking yet, but some weird things. Some audio glitches. Some things where like Coke cans are flying in the air randomly, people disappearing. But they didn't want people to show that. And on top of that, they didn't want to show the console versions because those versions were running the worst. And that's the highest installed console base right now. The PlayStation 4s and the Xbox Ones, they make up the majority of the console base right now. And they blatantly did not want to show footage on those consoles because they wanted to hide the fact that the game did not work. Like, this is... Let me just finish the point quick. This is bad. And even though they issued an apology, the apology to me is inexcusable. Like it does. Well, I should apologize. Their behavior is still inexcusable, even though they offered an apology. Like really, to me, that's a PR apology. Like that's not like you did that because you got your hand caught in the cookie jar. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to punch that person in the face. Or I got caught punching him in the face on camera, so I'm going to say I'm sorry now. I mean, it just like it. I have never seen anything like this in my 30 plus years of gaming, where a developer, and I don't think it's the people that actually made the game that I don't think they wanted this game to come out. The developers per se, I think it's the stakeholders. They wanted to get this game. They wanted the street date. They wanted to cash in. They did cash in. The game's already profitable. But then they issue this apology. And the worst part about the apology is they throw Microsoft and Sony under the bus. They tell consumers, oh, you know what? Xbox and Sony let us put this game out without certification. And if you want a refund, you should ask for a refund and go to Sony and Microsoft. Like, really?
I low-key feel like they deserve to get thrown under the bus, though. Like, you mean to tell me, like, they got a brand to represent too. They sell those how bad that game ran on their dev kits, et cetera, et cetera. You mean to tell they didn't say nothing about that, like at all?
Like, Attic, I hear what you're saying, but you're not even talking to Microsoft and Sony, your business partners, and saying, hey, you know what, guys? Can you guys give people refunds? You're saying. Go. Basically, it's like you're blame shifting at this point. Hey, you know what? I'm sorry, this game's messed up, but go to the other guys for a refund. Like that's that's shiesty.
I don't feel like that's blame. It's like that was like, look, like we understand a lot of you don't like the performance of the game. Go to the respective platform you do and request a refund. Like I feel like we've been telling people that. So like what else can they say besides get a refund? Like.
Yeah, but the way they wrote it, it's like yeah, we're giving refunds. Let me pull this up real quick. Hold on just a sec here.
Yeah, because anytime you see that yellow card, now you're like, oh shit, what's about to happen? On Twitter. So yeah, when I saw them say that, I was kind of like, did they clear that with all these retail
Oh,
partners?
they didn't.
No, that's what I'm saying. I was like, that's an interesting statement.
Mm-hmm.
And we saw how that played out, But hey, I mean, why wouldn't, as a dev, they try you? Because look how many people are saying, I can't tell you how many people came in my timeline and asked me, did you play The Witcher 3? They're going to fix it. It's going to be fine. I'm like, come on, man.
Here's what they say. If you don't want to wait, basically, if you're not pleased with the game on your console and don't want to wait for updates, you can opt to refund your copy. That's what they said. You can opt to refund your copy. If I'm reading that as a consumer, what is automatically coming to my mind?
They're telling me to refund the copy that I bought on the console I bought it on. Like, I don't see how that's like trying to blame Microsoft or Sony.
But it's putting the onus on Microsoft and Sony that, hey, you know what? Go to those guys, get the refund.
Yeah.
Like who should be giving the refund of this?
CDPR.
Yeah, that's my point. Like Projekt Red.
Well, how are they supposed to refund something that's not even on their platform?
They can promise it. That's probably the
problem. Exactly, OBM. Go ahead, OBM. Finish. Go ahead.
No, I mean it's. I don't know. I don't even know where to start with this thing. I think I know where I want to end with it, and I think that we're seeing the backlash, and every time we've seen this kind of backlash in the in the industry, just like when EA pulled some shenanigans with their Battlefront 2 and things like that. The industry does self-correct, does kind of course correct. So I am glad that they are getting called out pretty badly on this, and they are paying the price. And I think that if they had to do it all over again, they wouldn't have taken this route, especially despite the amount of money they made. That the value of their company has gone way down. Just over the last week. So obviously this didn't work out for them. But yeah, no, I mean, it's kind of like you owe somebody some money, and then you tell them, well, go get it from the other guy over there. Go get it from, if somebody comes to me to pay them back, and I'm like, go call this Enrique guy. He'll take care of you. And then they call you up, and you're like, what the hell do you want me to do? So it's like, I don't think that they should have promised it. I think their messaging and marketing and leadership's been just pretty shitty through this entire process. And at the end of the day, they just they knew what they were doing up front. The thing that is shocking to me or not shocking, but surprising to me, that somebody that could have any business acumen could be in that position and not think that you're going to get any sort of repercussions or blowback. It's kind of like you're out on a date with a girl, and you're just like talking yourself up, and you're like, you're talking about how much you're packing, and then you go home, and she's like, no, this ain't what you promised me, and she's like, take me home, and then you're like, oh no, that's against Sony's policy. No, but that's like, like this. Basically, what they've done is, they overhyped this, knowing that eventually people were going to find out what was going on, and it's like, I just wonder what kind of leadership can you have in that, it can have there that would think that this isn't going to come back and bite you. But I guess, some people just are not very self-aware. And I think CD Projekt Red has kind of shown that, at least from, again, their marketing and messaging, from a marketing and messaging standpoint, they've struggled, I think, a lot of the way. And I do hate to put that on the devs, because at the end of the day, the devs are out there. No, they're busting their ass out there, and, obviously doing their best and working a shit ton of hours. I think there were some leadership issues in terms of how they scoped the project initially, and then if you are going to give that kind of version to the Xbox One and PS4, fine, but you need to be transparent about what you're giving them. I mean, it shouldn't have bugs, but even looking at the graphic level and things like that, they've been promoting this game for 2 years with high-end PC. Like you have a high-end PC, right? Like Enrique and Mooch. So what they've been showing people is basically the version that, as far as I've heard, like, people aren't getting this running at 60 frames on the highest end machines right now if you turn on ray tracing and stuff. So they've been promoting this game with like settings that almost nobody had through most of the process. And so again,
if you have the new 30 series cards, like the 3080, 3090, you're getting 60 frames ray tracing. Stuff like, I'm getting 60 FPS on mine, but I can't use like ray tracing shadows, ray tracing reflection, ray tracing lighting. I just got to select, or I just got to put on ray tracing, and that's it.
Yeah.
I think it comes back down to what Attic said though a while ago. I think I got to bring it up again. It really, and it's funny because I've watched so many podcasts, and I think Attic nailed that it was a home run. I'm playing it on my PC, and it is except for the one crashing bug that I had today. Honestly, it's not game crashing, but I had to redo the entire mission because it kind of just bugged out. But except for that, in all honesty, it's been it's a beautiful game on PC. It looks great. It looks like the game that they promised us. The thing I have to agree with Addict was this game's I'm going to play through it because I think, shout out to Dreamcast guy. I think he said that he did multiple playthroughs now, and it fluctuates anywhere from about 21 to 26, 27 hours depending on how you play through. For a normal playthrough, I'm going to play through it and get through the 20 some hours of it because I want to experience the entire game. But this game it's not for me. I was expecting more. I'm just looking at it from a different perspective. I'm looking at it as this was supposed to be one of those generational leaps in gaming. I was expecting this to be something way, way beyond what we've ever played. And like you said, whether it was the shooting mechanic and you add something, or something with the map and you add something, or a way that fast travel is enhanced and it's better, or the driving mechanics better, or anything. Bring something to the table that is better than anybody else did before. And except for, ray tracing and the way it looks very good on high-end PC, they didn't do anything for me thus far. So like I said, this is not a game, if you're playing on PC, that's a 5 out of 10. But it's for me, it certainly lands in the mid 7s. And again, I'm not done yet. Maybe my review will change as I play through it more. But I think that this game really doesn't move the needle as we move into next generation. This was supposed to be that. Now, you could say, well, Mooks, you shouldn't expect that. That's fine. But is it my fault? Or is it because they hyped this thing up like something unbelievable? And, like we always say, hey, the devs work hard. Devs do this. We all work hard at our jobs, right? We all work hard at our jobs. So that's not really fair to say, well, they said that, so we'll take their word for it. Well, we took their word for it. Are we the suckers for that? Maybe. But hypothetically speaking, it was promised that it was going to be something like just monumental. And I think at the end of the day, it's just it's an average game. Let
me ask something, Mooch. Like, so what I said earlier, like if someone tells you, if you don't like the game, you can opt in for a refund. What does that say to you as a consumer?
Yeah, that's interesting because shout out to the Ash and Luca who's in the chat. She says that they didn't promise that. It's funny, BRAP, you almost have to read that line again. I think Luca's right. It's not implied that, but I can definitely say this much because we all know this and we've covered it on podcasts for years now on return policies, especially with digital IP. Yeah, if you were just a casual or just new to gaming and you picked it up and you didn't like it, or your game was extremely buggy on a PS4 or an Xbox One, and I saw that message that went out, I would think, oh, good. I could see where people would interpret it as CD Projekt Red has struck a deal with Sony and Microsoft to please allow anybody that is unhappy with the game to please return it and give them no grief. I could see how you could interpret that. However, I will also say that legally, I do believe that they probably had 25 lawyers read this thing before they put it out there. I do believe that it also doesn't promise you that. You know what I'm saying? So it's not binding.
Yeah. No, but it's not saying, hey, we guarantee customer satisfaction and, get your refund and this and that. But
right.
Yeah, but on the layman's side, people are just going to go, oh, okay, that sounds like you have my back.
Right.
Thanks. Appreciate
exactly.
it.
Yeah. Well, that's my point.
The way it reads, it does read that is an option for you,
like,
but
where like you said, like where we're in this thing, we're going.
I knew
not how those policies work, man.
I mean, if they can see that you only played an hour, you'll get it back, right? Yeah. It's less than 2 weeks. I think that's I'm being a bit vague here, guys. But if you're wondering, I think the main criteria is under a certain threshold of time of ownership and under a certain threshold of playing the game.
Yeah.
So if you've played it for an hour and a half, and it's well within the 14-day policy, you'd get the refund. But when I read that, I'm seeing people that are so unhappy with it, and I can clearly see they're 5-6 hours into the game from the footage they showed. So, I mean, clearly, I was like, that's going to hit a rough edge with one of those companies.
Yeah. And that's my point. Like, when you say opt, and this is all legal language. Like, they're not. You're right. They're not saying if you don't like the game, we'll give you
I
a
feel
refund.
like you're reaching, Brett.
No, because I've you see this, you see the reaction from people who are like, wait a minute, like I'm trying to opt into getting a refund. I can't get the refund from Sony or Microsoft. And when it could be interpreted as you can opt in a refund as in, wait, then I can go back and get my money back. And now you put the onus and pressure on Microsoft and Sony to do something.
Yeah.
That to do something to remedy a problem you created. Like they created this issue. It's not Sony or Microsoft.
Yeah.
That's why I say they threw them under the bus.
Mm-hmm.
I can't get down on that, man. I can't. Like them just suggesting to people that are unhappy to go and try to get a refund or opt in a refund, however they like worded it. It isn't. I don't feel like that's trying to throw blame on anyone. It's just like, look, like if you don't like the experience, like obviously I feel like they would like to do the refunds, but they do not have any
That's not their choice
pull on their platform. So like they can't be like, okay, let me call Microsoft, let me see. Like they can't do that. First off, when you call these platform holders, you have to sign into your account to do the refund.
Yeah.
So how are you going to call Cyberpunk to get a refund on something that's in another company?
No, and that's what I was going to say, Attic. When you said it the first time, I was like, no, they have no recourse to do that. So what I was going to say is where they are now, where they're going to find themselves, they're going to have to weather this. They're going to have to pull like the No Man's Sky, and they're going to have to do some make goods where some DLCs and some of this stuff is like, whatever updates, whatever DLCs are going to be a part of the package.
They even have They even have an email to help me refund.
That's the other thing too. They said, come back. Yeah, if you have an issue getting the refund, hit us up for a week.
Yeah. So
didn't they say for like a week or something like that?
Yeah, there's an email. Look, they're saying if go and if you bought retail, go to your retailer and try to get a refund from them. And if you bought should this not be possible, please contact us at helpmerefund@cdprojectred.com and we will do our best to help you. Starting from today, you can contact us for a week up until December 21st, 2020. So they're giving you like a week. Really? Like this is
before we leave for the holiday.
It's so egregious. And by the way, they are like a lot of studios are closed right now for the holidays already.
Right.
And that's probably when they're closing. But like this is so egregious. This is like the most egregious thing I think I've seen from a developer publisher, and maybe ever.
But can I say this, Enrique?
Yeah.
And this kind of leads back into something Attic was saying in his video. A good video, by the way, Attic.
Yeah, Attic. Great video.
Why wouldn't these devs attempt to try these things in the communities or whatever? Because all you hear are people saying, well, all games have bugs and all these excuses. Well, what did you expect? Or what did you this? Or what did you that? Or, hey, didn't you play The Witcher 3? I'm sure CD Projekt Red is going to fix it. Why wouldn't you attempt it?
I mean, yeah, I get it. I mean,
we're like, for some reason in gaming, we're like excuse central. We don't like, anything else. If your mechanic was like, yeah, I don't know what to tell you, dog. Dude, you said you fix my car, came back, it has no engine in it.
Right?
Like, you would go nuts.
That's a great point.
If you
pay
for a car. No, I'm saying, but if you pay for a car and you go to pick your car up, but it was not the model that you wanted, they downgraded you, but they still charge you for the other model, you're gonna have some words. You're not
Imagine
gonna say,
imagine if you ordered an extra large pizza and they bring you a small pizza and charge you the same
with no
amount.
cheese on it. You're like, wait, what?
I know.
Pineapple on it too.
I know. Moose wouldn't be happy.
It's all pineapple, no cheese.
No, man, not at all. Get that fruit off my pizza. Shout out to ACS Husk. Shout out to Husk. Great guy. He says, you got to look at the print there. It does say request a refund. Keyword is request.
Right.
So he makes a good point there. That is something you have to look at that. The other thing is don't get me wrong. We could sit here, and that's the one thing I'm really trying to walk on eggshells here because it's a very delicate subject. They wanted to put a presser out. Some of their wording was not good. Like a lot of people were really upset with the first sentence or two. So they didn't put a good presser out. But I think what they're trying to say is, if you don't like the game, return it. Now, that may be dealings with if it was a Christmas present, right? And people are seeing, like, let's say you're a parent and you bought this game, right? For your child, and then you see the bad reviews or you pay attention to it and you're like, oh my God, everyone's saying this game is terrible. you still can return it. You have the request. You can try to return the game. They're trying to say, like, nobody who makes a product wants to say, oh, yeah, sure, bring it back. We'll give you a refund. But that was their way of saying, like Attic said, they really can't say it because no one's going to CD Projekt Red for their $59.99 plus tax back. So, they're saying, try to return the game, request with Microsoft and Sony, and try and get your money back. I mean, I think they were trying. I think good intentions were there. I think probably somebody else should have written it. And I think somebody else should have reviewed it.
They should have just kept their mouth shut.
Well, Attic, sometimes silence is golden, but not in this business. Everybody wants something transparent now. They want to see the good, the bad, and the ugly. So in this case, I think them coming out and doing this, like, could you imagine if we went another month and things were just the way they were? Because the real true patch won't come out till January, and then probably the one that even satisfies the majority of customers is the February patch. And there's nothing in writing that's come out. They're like, we haven't even heard from these guys. They're probably all in Barbados having drinks out of coconuts, right? We would go off on tangents. So at least something in writing that they're acknowledging the problem, they apologized, and then they mentioned the word refund. Whether that's something, again, it's out of their hands. They can only say request. So, it's a double-edged sword here. They're damned if they do, and they're damned if they don't. But I do understand, Attic, what you're saying there. Like, sometimes silence is golden. It depends. But silence is only golden in the gaming business when you have a patch ready in less than 7 days, not when you have a patch ready in 77 days.
Yeah, and here's what's funny. Like, I don't think this has ever happened. You go to OpenCritic, they're recommending people don't even buy this game. Like, what is that?
Because of the shady practices they did with the last gen consoles.
Yeah, like what is that? When is that ever? I don't know. I could be wrong.
We need more of that.
Yeah, I agree with you, Attic. I agree with you. Yeah, 100%. Go ahead, OBM.
No, I mean, I guess it just goes back to the initial point. And what consumers are, when we talk, we've talked before that we always hear the word anti-consumer being overused or misused. When I think about like what's pro and anti-consumer, it's just basically it's you telling me what I'm going to be getting, and then that actually being the thing. When I order the double meat at Chipotle, I don't want to come out with a vegetarian.
We got to stop with the food talk. You guys are making me hungry.
I had to throw something out there for Mooch. But anyways,
Mooch, are you hungry yet?
I've been hungry. I think Italians only get so tall, and then we just get hungry from there. We just keep eating. It's a problem.
Hey, I know the feeling. Latino culture is very, very similar,
right?
But it goes back to that. It's just the only thing I ask for, and it's the thing I was kind of pointing out earlier, is that even with the Xbox One X, it's like you were showing that at E3 a couple years ago. You were showing the high-end PC version, and I get like devs always they kind of always do that. I just don't know that I've seen it to this extreme in a long, long time. And if you're not going to be measuring up to that, I think you have to let people know that that's coming, and it's probably going to take us to our next topic soon. With Halo and things like that. But it's like it's okay to scale something down or to make something that's not going to. You get what you pay for sometimes, right? Like if you really want the best version, you have to get the high-end PC version, and if it has multiplayer, then you're going to have to deal with the cheaters. But like at least with as long as you know what you're getting, then I think you can be okay with anything that if they're telling you, hey, like this is going to come out and we're going to call it early access because that's like our signal to you that even though you're paying for this, there's going to be a lot of bugs in the game. And you know what? People sometimes are okay with that, and they're okay with going through that process. But when you start telling people that they're getting this one thing and then they get something completely different, that is anti-consumer. And I think this is probably the best example we've had of that. And hopefully, the backlash and the stock drop and everybody else seeing that out in the industry makes other developers kind of think twice about how they promise things to the consumers and that if they are going to say something, they deliver on it.
Yeah, real quick, with the super chat from HD Gamer 84 with the $10 super chat says, given the obvious difficulties CD Projekt Red have had with developing Cyberpunk, what is your opinion regarding cross-gen multi-platform development? Is Cyberpunk proof that it's time to leave last-gen consoles behind? And sir, that is a great segue into the last topic of the evening, and that has to do with Halo Infinite? I'm going to pose a question to the panel here and the live chat. By the way, live chat, we have over 320 people watching. Please hit that like button if you haven't done so already. The question I have for the panel, everyone in the live chat, given the difficulties that CD Projekt Red has had with this game, and HD Gamer's question of is Cyberpunk proof that it's time to leave last gen consoles behind? For monetary reasons, I don't think it's going to happen. But should Halo Infinite be Xbox Series X, S, whatever you want, exclusive, or should Microsoft also bring this game to the lesser consoles, if you will? I'll go ahead with the panel. What do you guys think?
I'd start with Addict. Addict did a great
Go ahead, Addict. Yeah, go ahead, Addict.
Yeah, I think it makes sense. I think even for like it, the only thing it doesn't make sense is like strictly financial. And I even think at that point, like it's like, look, like I get there's a lot of people that's on the Xbox One that's going to get this, but like to me, the Halo players are going to buy a console just to play it anyway. And the people that buy a console in the first year, those are the hardcore. Chances are those are going to be the only ones playing Halo. So it's just like maybe because it's like a broad spec, and you know people might unsub to Game Pass because they can't get their hands on Halo on the previous gens. But it's like the moment Halo was delayed to 2021, the game did not benefit the Xbox Series X at launch anymore. So it's just like then why keep it why keep it an Xbox One platform at that point? It's like it's already not going to help the Xbox Series X at launch. You might as well have it help with the first holiday it comes out, and then you won't have to worry about. You could spend the last little bit of the last year working on optimizing the game where it's not going to run like Cyberpunk did on the Xbox One.
No, that's a great point. Go ahead, E.
No, I mean, yeah, I absolutely think it should drop those older consoles or whatever and start moving forward. But can they pivot out of that? Because they really doubled down on that kind of thing. I mean, they could, and I'd be okay with them doing that. And
what do you mean they doubled down?
On, you know, no generation left behind. At least
they've already left that behind. Like they've only really showed next gen exclusive titles.
I'm just saying what they said. Look, I know how corporations work, and that's why I tell people all the time: stop buying into what corporations tell you because they're gonna switch and change and do everything else. But people in the community double down on what they say all the time. Like they're the ones that went on that message.
Yeah,
I'd be like, do it. People just let them cry because that's how corporations work.
I feel like they would get a hit. But I don't think it's going to be as big as a hit as people think, because within the first year, the majority of the people that's going to play Halo is already going to be on the Series X and the Series S. You know, especially with Game Pass and how equal out with like, you know, programs like All Access. Like, there's really no reason you don't have a console if you don't want one.
And I'm with you on this because my thing is you're going to get hit harder if you try to put that game out on that old stuff and it's doing the same thing Cyberpunk. You're already seeing the example. And if you try to keep with that, I think you're going to get hit. If you can't pull it off anyway, I think
this conversation blossoms more when we start to discuss what it means for future projects besides Halo, because Halo's already like, listen, I understand they're polishing it. I understand they're doing certain things, but the game's pretty much done. Okay. A game of the magnitude of Halo doesn't begin and end in 12 months. So the point of the matter is and shout out to Optimus Code, who said this a number of times. And he's 100% right. And we've got plenty of examples now to pick from. But one of the major ones is that development, even before development begins, is what's held back when you have to take old hardware into consideration. So, you know, again, I'm with kind of both E and Addict here. Like they should, in my personal opinion, I wish they would leave the others behind. But you have to understand something. At this point, there's absolutely no reason for them to leave it behind. This game was developed with Xbox One in mind. So that's
so was Cyberpunk, and here we are.
Yeah, but if you drop, but the point is if Cyberpunk decided to drop last gen consoles, PS4 and Xbox One, 8 to 10 months ago, the game would still be in the state it is now. So, where they're too far along is my point. What I would say to Microsoft, okay, and to Sony to a certain extent, is moving forward, enough's enough. Listen. Even when you're looking to buy another car, right? Your next car, you say, oh, I like the new model that's coming out in 2021. My recommendation is always what? Wait till 2022's model. Let them get the bugs out of the 2021 model, and then you take that one. The problem with older hardware is like if the car company said, yeah, we see this bug in the car, we're going to leave that one in the 2022 version and give you something even better so you won't really notice that bug. No, what do? They either fix it or remove it. You've got to get rid of the old hardware. It is going to hold developers back to a certain degree. What that degree is past my pay level. It's not what I do for a living. But I'm telling you, it does hold them back. But again, if we're talking about Halo, at this point, I would say there's no way Xbox One is not in the picture. The Xbox One S will be playing Halo Infinite, whether we like it or not. And Attic made a good point, whether he knew it or not, is the fact that a lot of people are holding on to their S's because they said no gamer left behind, and they picked up Game Pass for a year, and they expect to be able to play Halo Infinite on their Xbox One S with no extra money out of pocket except for $10 a month on Game Pass. So they would be breaking multiple promises across the board, and that's not going to happen. So I don't think it would happen technologically, development-wise, because they're too far along, and I don't think it would happen policy-wise because Microsoft would absolutely be chastised for this.
Yeah, actually, I was going to go last because I was hoping I thought you were all going to be on the same page with this, and I could be the contrarian and pretend like I was on Crossfire. Take Xbox, please for once. But actually, no, Mooch, I think you pretty much hit it out of the park in terms of the answer. And just like Optimus Code said, and I've talked to devs on this too. Those game design decisions, those things that hold it back, that stuff is usually decided earlier in the process. Now, if you're going to try to make something super innovative, maybe you run into some other things that you didn't expect, like they did with Cyberpunk. But Halo's had a gameplay loop that now has kind of existed for 20 years. And honestly, when we go back, some of the earlier ones still that were on the OG Xbox are still the best playing ones compared to things that have come out more recently. So, in Halo's case, taking the old hardware out of the equation, I don't think that helps it. And even if you think about why it's been delayed, people weren't really complaining about what they saw with the gameplay. They were complaining about the graphics. And ironically, if you lower the game design to kind of fit on these older hardware, you have more room on newer hardware to put all those extra compute power towards things like graphics, because those do scale. Whereas your art's going to be in place, the artwork that they decided to go with so that it would work on the old hardware, the level designs, the encounters, all that stuff that's balanced. It's already been balanced for the old hardware, and Statton already said he's played through it a few times. They're not going to be able to redesign that whole thing and work in all the new graphics in a year. So I think that you're already set there. You don't gain anything. I would say though, going forward, what I would hope is whether it's maybe the year or 2 years from now when they start coming out with the DLCs, that at some point, just like Destiny, they kind of say, okay, you know what, we're going to make this DLC and it's just going to be all on the new hardware. Maybe we'll do some new things with physics or create some bigger battles and things that we weren't able to do before. So I would say that's when we can maybe start talking about it moving off of this hardware, and maybe that's the question, or where the pressure comes in, is when do you finally abandon it? But for this first round, I don't see it, and you got to factor it's not just the Xbox One and all those potential Game Pass subscribers. PC owners, they don't all have the same spec. If you look on Steam and kind of see where the specs are, there's a wide spectrum, and the lower the spec you can hit, obviously the wider your audience is on the PC as well. So this game has been developed with having a huge net that they can cast in mind. They're going to cast that net, and so I think it's kind of a moot point. Like I don't expect anything to change in terms of the platforms that they target.
Yeah, I would agree with that, OBM. They're not going to do that, but selfishly speaking, personally, I would like to see a Halo game that just solely focused on taking full advantage of this Series X hardware. I think especially with what's riding on this game. This game, like we know, there's been development issues, and I feel like this is a bad Halo game here would, I think, really be a big blow to the game. and I want to see this game really, because like you mentioned this OBM like 20 years ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you OBM, like we go back on Xbox Live 20 years.
Yep.
You remember when Halo? 19 years. Remember when Halo 2 launched?
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
holy shit, right?
Mhm.
Like it was released on the OG Xbox, took advantage of the OG Xbox, took advantage of Xbox Live. That's the kind of thing I want to see. That's why I'm selfishly thinking, you know what? I want to see this game run solely on the Series X. And I get they, like Eric said earlier, the mantra's been no gamer left behind. And look, that's all nice and dandy, but I think this game really needs to shine. And I think, and I could be wrong, but I think the way it's going to shine is really being on the Series X to really show that wow factor. Halo has always been that franchise that showed that's been that wow piece, right? For the Xbox console has always shown the power of the OG Xbox, the 360, maybe to an extent, Xbox One, but it just, yeah, I don't know. I'm not saying it's going to be like a CD Projekt Red type thing with Cyberpunk, but if it is, and if it was because of lesser hardware, that's going to be an issue. And I think that's going to be detrimental to the franchise, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't see that though. I guess just kind of understanding a little bit about. Again, I'm not a developer, but just talking to people that have done that stuff and kind of what you can expect in a year, a year's time. Also, one thing I will say, and I've made this point before too. I do understand, like, if you're going to try to make something innovative, you're going to try to make a dynamic world, something that's going to, take AI and physics to like levels we've never seen before. You're going to start needing to use those new CPUs. And I think to like Mooch's point, yeah, I do want to see, like, especially with these Western RPGs, I don't even want to see Xbox One in the equation for those. That's where you have the opportunity to really start leveraging next gen stuff. With Halo, though, it's a lot like Dark Souls to me. Like, what made those games great? I know they're completely different games, but what makes those games great is really like having that moment-to-moment balance of the gameplay. And those games don't necessarily need more power. I don't think for the, I'd say at least the foundation of it. I mean, yeah, maybe you could have like a much bigger battle, or eventually add in some more destructible physics and things like that down the road. But in terms of like the actual gameplay and what makes those games fun. Going through the whole series again, 4 and 5 were absolutely, it wasn't my imagination. They don't hold up as well as the old games today, and it's because those other ones were balanced better. They just had just the sandbox was better. The encounters were just more interesting, and again, it's like looking at like why is Demon Souls? I mean, I understand they upped the graphics and made it look really impressive, but that gameplay, like I want to play Dark Souls Remastered for the first time, this generation. And I'm like, that was one of the top 10 games that I've played across this entire generation. And that was just an old game with up-res with, a resolution. So, I think there's these games fall in different buckets. Some of them, I do think that's important, but Halo is more, I would say over time, Halo was more about, especially with 3, was more about the community, the multiplayer, like the options, the Forge, and also having a gameplay, a campaign that, hey, you and your buddies can go back and play it again and again, and it's still fun. So I obviously want the best of all worlds, but I do think they can still make the graphics for whatever that art style is. It's not going to change in this next year. Make that as shiny and pretty as you could possibly make it. But I think that's really the only place they got to go, whether the Xbox One is in the equation or not.
Yeah, it's great. It's a great point, OBM. And a big shout out, by the way, to Adam Tan, who got the $20 Xbox digital code. So congratulations again, Adam. Appreciate it. Appreciate you watching the show this evening. And please, if you haven't done so already, hit that like button, subscribe to the podcast, hit that bell notification so you are aware when we go live. Mooch, I see there, hashtag mooching. Yes. I wasn't sure if you were trying to get that $20 gift card.
No, listen, I had to fight. I had to like duct tape my hands from trying to type that in.
Yeah, right.
I know panel. I try to always have this rule where panel members are exempt, even though a lot of people say they're not. I think panel members are exempt. But as a mooch, I had to fight myself and hold back. But congratulations, Adam. Tam. By the way, Adam, if you're not using all 20 cents, half the mooch. I'm only kidding. Sorry, that's the mooch in me. I'm sorry. Enjoy that.
You know, I like the fact that Adam actually didn't just take the code and run. He actually said thank you. So that was great. You know, our late night audience.
Usually you don't hear who wins, you know?
Yeah.
You usually don't.
Our late night, whoever's been getting the codes has been kind of rude, honestly. Not today, but I'm saying in the past.
Oh my goodness, too funny. Well, first of all, I just want to say something real quick. I want to give a big shout out to everyone in the live chat. We had over 300 people watching. Thank you so much for hanging out with us this evening. Really appreciate it. And if you're new to the show, please, again, hit that like button, subscribe, hit the bell notification so that you are alerted to when we go live or when new content comes out from BRAP. But want to give a big shout out to the panel as well. Give a shout out to Lord Addict, Gaming Addict, who had to leave early. Big shout out to him and the good gentleman over at the ILP. Definitely check them out. And Mooch, man, always a pleasure having you on.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, love Crossfire, by the way. Of course, you know I love Crossfire because
Right.
I'm on there quite a bit.
Yes, you are.
Yeah, but it's a great show.
But honestly, it's you guys know this. A lot of people in the audience are like, "Hey, there's Mooch." But buddy, I got to be honest with you. I love the back and forth. I like people coming on the show that have a difference of opinion. And I'll throw this out there while everyone's still here. We got a great audience here tonight. We're doing a little give back on the Crossfire show. So I've got a few. I got I believe I don't want to put the dollar amount out there. I believe I got a $50 Xbox card and a $50 PSN card. We're going to be giving out as well as a 12-month PS Plus membership. So we're going to be doing a little Christmas giveaway on Crossfire. So hopefully everybody in the chat will come by. It's the Mooch78 over on YouTube. Come on over and check us out. And I'm sure, you know, BRAP, E. I always try to get BRAP and E. And we got to get One Bad Mother on there as well. Because, you know, I like the back and forth. I like his difference in opinion. And E's the one that actually just keeps everybody sane. So,
He is the voice of reason.
He is the voice of reason on YouTube and Twitter. I got to be honest with you. This man deserves his own set. Like, he knows what he's doing. No,
I got blocked the other day, man.
Except for people pocket watch you, E, and you get blocked.
Yeah, man. I got blocked for actually like saying that I was going to buy the game later. This person did not like the fact. I was like,
I don't understand that. I don't get. I mean, you know, listen, especially if you're playing it on console, I would totally recommend to wait for the next gen patch. I really would. If you're a next gen owner, that is. If you're not a next gen console owner and you really want to play Cyberpunk, I still suggest that you wait until you get a next gen console. I just don't think that the experience I've seen thus far on PS4 and Xbox One is remotely what you've been waiting for and you're excited to play. I just don't. I'm playing it on PC. And I have a decent build, and I'm telling you, it looks beautiful, and I still think it's a bit subpar as far as just the content. I mean, the content's there. I don't like how it's presented. I'm not enjoying it myself very much. But listen, things can change. I have more than half of the game left, so I'm looking forward to playing it just so I can give a better commentary. But BRAP, thanks for having me tonight, buddy. Outstanding, BRAP. I look down. You know a show is good when you look down at the clock and an hour passed. The next time you look down at the clock, it's 2 hours past. So yeah, that's a hell of a show, man. So outstanding.
That's also what happens when you're reading something you pick up in Cyberpunk too.
Well, yes, that is true. Well, I'm thinking about a paragraph in. I usually fall asleep halfway through that. But yeah, nonetheless, very true. Great show tonight, Brad.
Yeah, no, Mooch, always a pleasure having you, man. I appreciate it. And looking forward to Crossfire this Friday. Crossfire is always a great show. I always have a blast. It's great. It's great, as you would say.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and then we have my good buddy OBM, who, again, I always like to say this. Like, I literally met this guy on Xbox Live 19 years ago.
Yeah.
And here we are, full circle, man. We're doing podcasts now.
I know. Look at how far we've come. Just
right.
We're older and slower. But yeah, man. No, I appreciate you having me on like usual. It's always a good time, man. So yeah, thanks for inviting me. And for those that do want to find me, I'm pretty new to these streets. I've only been on Twitter for a little bit. Name is One Bad Mother at mother_1. and also have a newish podcast out there, bi-weekly Halo podcast called You Had Me at Halo. I'll be doing some other things here soon, and I'll talk about that, I guess, next time you have me on the show. So, but hey, thanks for having me. It was a good time again.
No, absolutely, man. Always a pleasure. And then we really do have the voice of recent here on the Twitters and in all podcasts, Eric Jackson. But seriously, you really are the voice of reason, man.
Yo, thanks. Appreciate it, guys. Appreciate it. OBM, I like the name of that podcast, man.
I do
Happy
too.
Halo. I like that. That's dope, man.
That's all right. Yeah.
I was surprised that wasn't taken.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, no, it was something
Halo.
Yeah, long story behind that. And I think it was basically it was like I almost did this podcast so we could lock down the name. Now we'll figure it out. When we started the podcast, Halo was about 6 months from launch. And we're like, hey, let's do a bi-weekly leading up to Halo to be like my first podcast. I'll pick my favorite IP of all time. And now, now I got to figure out how to do a years and a half worth of content. But we'll figure it out. But I got the name locked down, so no matter what happens, I think we're good. I think it was worth it.
Yeah, sometimes you're going to be uniquely placed with a name like that in about a year's time.
Yep.
Yep.
That's going to pay dividends for you, I think.
No doubt.
Yeah.
No,
go ahead, man.
Good show tonight, man. Thank you, OBM, Mooch, and Attic for coming through. Good conversation. And it flowed really nice, man. You're right. It was like great. 2 hours. Boom.
Yeah.
Good
stuff.
Yeah, we spent like over an hour on the Cyberpunk topic. I was a little worried that we weren't get to Halo Infinite, but no, it was a great show.
Well, there's a lot to talk about around that, man, because that's a big deal right now in the community, man. Yeah, very highly anticipated game, a lot going on, and it's like every day they were giving more nuggets, to talk about. So,
yeah, that's true. Well, E, let everyone know where they can find you, man.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter, EC Jackson with an X.
Don't block them.
Don't block me.
Don't block them.
Yep. No, you can find me there. And other than that, Saturday nights, Gaming Perspective podcast at 8:00.
All right. Awesome. Well, again, everyone on the panel, big shout out to Attic, who had to leave early. Thank you, Attic, and Mooch, and OBM, and Eric Jackson, to everyone in the live chat. Thank you so much. Ryan Landis said, everyone be safe or Tom Cruise will yell at you.
That's great.
I guess I must have missed that. Did Tom Cruise yell at people? What happened?
Yes, he did.
Okay.
Yeah, apparently people on the set of Mission Impossible 7 were not following COVID-19 protocol, and he laced into his staff.
Wow. Well, yeah, please everyone be safe.
We haven't heard a rant like that since Christian Bale went off on Terminator that time. I don't know if you remember that tape.
Oh my God, do you remember that? You think it's special?
That was a hell of a rant.
Yeah, man.
That was almost like a BRAP rant, Mooch, kind of.
It's close.
Yeah, it's close.
Haven't heard a rant like that since Mooch was talking about having to read in video games.
Yeah, exactly.
Dear developers, leave the reading out of it. Let's get to action, please. Thank you.
Yeah. Real quick before
I let you Remedy.
Yeah, real quick. Yeah, exactly, right. Real quick before we wrap up the show, Mooch, there is a article. I know you like to talk about crunch.
Yes.
From Kotaku that says best director nominees for video games should not go to studios that do crunch.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, might be it. Yeah. And by the way, David Jaffe, who we've had on the show, had a great video, almost like a rebuttal about this article. And
I gotta check it out.
Yeah, if you haven't checked it, go to Jaffe's channel on YouTube.
I will.
Really good. Really.
I mean, crunch is too. It's too. Especially we're at the end of the show. Crunch is too broad of a subject. If you're looking at it just from what it is on the top level, it's unfair to make a comment like that because many things in life that we've grown to love and adore, right? It doesn't matter if it's your favorite novel or your favorite movie or your favorite video game or your favorite. It could even be a vehicle. It could be, I don't know.
Mooch, Apple.
Right, Apple, right? Crunch just before the day. If you watch a lot of there's a couple of Steve Jobs movies out there. Some good, some not so good. But a few of them you'll see just at the first few WWDCs that they held, where they were literally scrambling seconds before they went live in front of the media and everybody. So it's too broad of a subject to get into within 2 minutes. But crunch, I think some people just use that as a narrative to go forward with when realistically we all do. Think of all the times you studied in high school or college, how many times you crunched, okay, the night before for an exam. I think everybody would raise their hand, or a large portion, Brap.
Yeah, Mooch, we should do a Brap rant about crunch.
we could do a Brap crunch, absolutely.
You know where I stand on it when people do that. It's like, are you talking to all of your teachers right now dealing with crunch in this COVID world? Teaching your kids?
Right. Yeah. That's a fascinating conversation. It really is, because I feel like people apply it only to the gaming industry, but don't realize that a lot of the things they enjoy and have are because of crunch. So anyhow, yeah, well, that's all. That might be a Brap rant we'll have to do another time. But no, thank you everyone. Again, thank you to Attic, Mooch, OBM, Eric J, everyone in the live chat. Thank you so much for hanging out with us this evening. We'll catch you guys next week, Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. On that note, we are out. Everyone, please be safe and enjoy your time gaming, because there's a lot of great gaming content out right now. We're out. Peace.
Peace.